Hello viewers, welcome back to Boston Boys with me, Dr. Benji FM, as we enter an episode without an episode number, which is always quite confusing. Sorry there wasn't an episode yesterday. I found out over the weekend that my grandma sadly passed away. Of course, very sad for me and my family, and I just took a day really to just come to terms with that, I guess. But the reason I'm telling you about it is because in Parma Drama, many years ago now, she had a starring role. I did share this clip on Twitter, but I thought, I know not everyone's on Twitter, so I thought I'd share it with you guys as well so you can see her starring role in one of my videos, and I'll play that clip now. I'm alright, thank you, Grandma. Yeah. Okay, I'm just recording a video at the moment, but no, it's alright. You're in it now, so, you know. So this is the game I'm playing over on this side. And then that's you and me.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Fame at last.
I know. Lucky you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was playing?
Oh, it's Parma. I'm the Parma manager from Italy.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Pleased to meet you.
Thanks very much. Yeah, it's good to see you.
So you've done that? Well, have you done that from the television?
Well, that's the game I'm playing.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah.
It looks nice weather.
Yeah. I agree.
Are you sure you don't want anything to eat?
I'm all right, thank you. Well, I wasn't expecting that. So it was, yeah, classic grandma behaviour, wasn't it? Everything all right? Can I get you anything? Are you sure you're all right? Yeah, I was fine. And, yeah, hopefully I'll be fine for the rest of the time without her as well. So let's see how things go for me and the Boston Boys, of course. Let's focus then on the job in hand. And you'll notice then, I'm at the first year of our transfers, and you might be thinking, why, Ben? Why? Well, it's the 1st of January 2024. I've played through the December period after last episode, and I thought what we'd do then is have a reflective episode over the last couple of days. As you can maybe imagine, I've been quite reflective over life more than anything, and yeah, I thought it'd be a good opportunity, 50 episodes in, to reflect over the first 50 episodes. Whether you're someone that has been following the series or wants to catch up with the series and wants a little rundown on what's gone on, then I think this is maybe the perfect episode for you before we kick on with 51 tomorrow. So the first season was quite interesting. I think it's easy to forget now. We've had some successes sort of year on year on year. If you look at this, you can see we started off then, first season was 12th position, 18-19 season it was. We brought in some players just to sort of tide us over. You start with quite a poor squad with the Boston Boys. No disrespect to the Boston Boys. But yeah, Ben Fletcher came in. Of course, it's his birthday today, so congratulations. 24 years of age, Ben Fletcher, the Millennium Baby, still with us today in the under-23s. And he was one of the first players brought in really to try and kick on our season. I did that a little bit. Liam Edwards was probably the star man from that first season. And again, still with us in the under-23s, but hasn't really featured since. 17 goals in that. And you can take a look then, if we go through, and we'll be doing this throughout a couple of seasons, just so we can get our bearings a little bit. Our best 11 then, from that first season. Not many names, in fact no names, have continued through to now. I don't think any of the boys still play in our first team especially. Taking it through, no, I think that's probably it. But Willis was in goal, George Willis, remember, Ben Davis at right back, Middleton and Harris, the two centre-backs. George Smith, brilliant hair, George Smith, I mean that's something we'll all remember. Andy Tannoy, little update on him for those that are interested. He went to Albania and he's stayed in Albania, but he's now changing clubs. Amazingly, he has played 27 games for 5 years in a row. The consistency of the man is something quite miraculous. Goal scoring wise though, ever since that 5 he got with me, he's not scored 5 since in the next 5 years. So maybe work on your free kicks a little bit more, Andy. Maybe just do that. Rowe was next to him, right on the right. Jordan Slew on the left, of course, the Millennium Baby behind Edwards. But Slew on that left-hand side, retired now, of course, but had a couple of really standout moments for us, the Jordan Slew. Big goals in big moments, and surprisingly so, it felt like. But that moved us on then. 12th position, first season. It was a season that started off really poorly, and I was a little bit worried to how's this season actually going to go? Is this going to work, this series? But it did work. It turned around a little bit. We had a very difficult period in which Alfreton, we didn't destroy them, they destroyed us, for those that were keeping up. And yeah, towards the back end of the year though, looks good. Started to win a few games, and it set us up quite nicely for the next season. Although the next season didn't start too well. 2019-20 now, and a 6th place finish was what we got. You can see the start of the season wasn't particularly good in the Vanarama North. No. It took a long time to turn around, and it really got until sort of the beginning of October when we started to go on a little bit of a run of just not losing games. We weren't winning games massively convincingly, but we were losing less and less as the season went on. And the back end of the year was an absolute highlight for us. You can see there with the goals of Jaden Phillips, who you might remember we brought in, the pacey striker, now at Hampton and Richmond. his goals, as well as Sylvain Vance Blake and a few others, really propelled us up the table. But it really was that back end of the season where we really started to progress. You can see a hatful of games without defeat, wins across the board. Players like Sam Minihan, who we later changed to Minivan, went off to Kingstonians, also now retired. In fact, I can't even get him in as a coach, which is very disappointing. But 80 games played for the Boston boys, and yeah, of course, there was a little bit of heartbreak in the playoffs as well. A penalty shootout defeat. Never good. In the first round as well, didn't even get to the final of it, just knocked out straight away by Darlington. Yeah, penalties, Hemmings and Jones missing for us. If we take a look at the best 11 from that time, you'll see that how the squad has developed over time. The past few years, it's been quite consistent, but in those early seasons, you do change a lot. So that was the first year, and if I click the arrow, you can see straight away that a lot of the personnel changes. Suddenly, Whitley's in goal, Minivan's at right back, we've got Statham and Pennell in the centre, George Cantrell comes in, and that's a big name really in there. George Cantrell still with us today as the backup left back. I will actually probably start my next game in the next episode as it happens. Taylor was in there, Jones and Smith. Now, James Jones and Matthew Smith, I thought were going to be absolute world beaters. They were good for a period, but not for a sustained period. I thought Matthew Smith might be with us a little bit longer. I thought he'd develop more, to be honest, but it never really happened. And Jones next to him as well, at Livingston now. Decent player, of course, very good player, it should be said. And we lost him on a free transfer. Someone actually, we got on loan, and I would love to be able to keep around a little longer, but it didn't quite develop that way. And James Smith came in, you might remember, halfway through the season, and got 11 in 19, and he was a major force in getting us into those playoffs. And that gave us a little bit of an idea of, do you know what, actually, from this point onwards, we may be able to push for it next year. And boy, did we. So after finishing 6th, you can see it there on 66 points. It was a season of sixes. The year after that, the Boston boys began to turn things around. Some new blood was brought in, and we'll talk about a few of them in a moment. But you can see 102 points, a massive leap, only losing 2 games in that as well. Kirsten Ashton joined us in the promotion race, but 2 defeats all season, one of the most impressive years I can ever remember having in the Football Manager series. And that was really the start of things. Of course, we did get some new ownership, which helped a little bit. It moved the club on a little bit. Our stadium move as well was quite useful. You can see now the community stadium, 7,500, 2,000 seaters. You've always got to say that, haven't you? But yeah, that was built the year previous, so we were set up for greatness, you might say. And yeah, that first place finish started the rapid rise, but it was really down to some of the players that we brought in. I'm having to negotiate all of this. You can see them. This was the year where some real superstars came in, players that are still with us today. You remember Adji from Burnley, now plays for Doncaster, doing okay. I don't know if we played him or played against him at some point. I think we probably did last season, actually. It rings a bell now. As well as some other names that I'm sure you recognise in there. Alabiusa, of course, still with us. Robbie Burton was a very good footballer in that side. Harvey Neville, of course, the son of Phil Neville, out at Kilmarnock, injured. That's familiar. He was always injured for me. Mikael Pucker, we had on a free transfer, who's now at Billericay. Chris Thorpe, who was a striker that came in and I thought was going to be great, and then we never really played. But again, if you take a look at the best 11 from that period, you'll notice a couple of the names that are still with us today. And that's, to me, what's most impressive about our achievements in recent years, that we've got the players like Alabiusu and George Cantrell who have stuck with us since that period and continue to be a part of the side. I think Ryan Alabiusu is definitely like the big shock for me, that I brought him in thinking a couple of years in this division, he'll be a star. But you take a look at his history, and you can see even this year now in League One, from the Vanarama North National, League 2 and League One, he gets goals and assists wherever he goes. And yeah, this year having a better season than he did last year in League 2. And that probably says everything about the man. So yeah, it's definitely a hero of this save. Definitely a superstar of it. And hopefully continues to do it for the rest of this season. Can you see again then, the team was changing ever so slightly now. Wright came in goal as well. Harry Wright was a major player in our side, actually. 47 appearances. But you can see the consistency of the back line. That was what was so crucial. It was probably overlooked just by episode-wise. You probably didn't even notice it, really. But you can see that back five all playing consistent games. 47 appearances for Wright, 46 for Minivan. Gibbons was on 47, Mikael Parker 45, and 46 for George Cantrell. So consistent. And the same goes for Alfie Payne and Alabiusu, who had massive saves in that league season. And Chris Lawrence shouldn't be overlooked either. He's been a really good player for us, and again remains with us now. More of a backup player now in the 23s, but yeah, when he came in was an absolute superstar. Really revolutionised our midfield for a short period. Mr. Consistent, technically very good for that division as well, and yeah, showed some really good qualities for us. It was the season after though, wasn't it? It was League 2. This is when things... Sorry, not League 2. Was it? Was it League 2? No, it was League... National League. So it was our first year. This is the year now. This is the year. It was our first year in the National League. After 3 years in the North, it was time, we felt at least, or we hoped at least, to push on a little bit. And boy, did we. Went mad in the transfer window, bringing in loads of loans, loads of free transfers. The guys, obviously, that you recognise the names of. Marquis Fletcher for £500 from Newtown. If you're not already watching the series, keep your eyes out on Marquis Fletcher, who has been a superstar for us ever since he arrived. Goals galore. 12 for Newtown, saw him come to us, gets 25 in that first season, then 22, 13 this year. He's in the top 3 goal scorers of League One as we stand right now. And yeah, I mean, to sum it up, the Marquis Fletcher. Not many players get a theme tune in my series, but Marquis Fletcher is one of those people. Ike Pozzo, another one that came in, and again, we've gone up 2 divisions since this. It's got to be beared in mind. So these guys played in the Vanarama National with us, and there's like a few names here that are still with us today. The likes of Akuma is still here as well. I'm sure there's others there that don't jump out immediately. But yeah, David Cartwright, interesting. David Cartwright was sort of playing in tandem with Marquis Fletcher, very rarely playing together, but he's currently at Luton, and he's really putting up a stiff bit of competition for us this year with Luton. I think actually they're having a good year because I've played against them not that long ago. If you take a look at my fixtures from this season very briefly, this is not this season, we're all over the shop here. You can see we've just played Luton. It was a 4-2 win in the game. Cartwright got a goal, and I couldn't. When I saw him, I was like, it's David Cartwright. I didn't play the jingle. That would have been misplaced, I feel like. But yeah, interested to see him play in the same division as us now. Right, let's move on a little bit though. I mean, league-wise for that season, it was a bit ridiculous. It was the 4th year of our season, and everything went very, very well, it must be said. So, of course, after just getting promoted to the Vanarama National, you want to keep it a little bit level-headed, just stay in there. And I thought, actually, the year we've just had previously would be our first sort of proper title challenge in the Vanarama National. It took us such a long time to get out of the Vanarama North that I thought it would take an equally long time to get out of the National. But with the finances that were in place, it allowed us a little bit more wiggle room in terms of wages and things like that. Not so much transfer fees. We very rarely spent money apart from the 500 quid on Marquis Fletcher. But you can see then this Vanarama National side started quite well. Marquis Fletcher banging in goals in those first few games, but it was the back end of the season where we really came into our own. Playoff semi-final victory over Dover, and then a penalty win against Chesterfield, so I was promoted to the Football League in our first year in the Vanarama National. What an achievement it was, and yeah, we've carried that momentum through to even now, so it's gone really well. So a few players I didn't mention, but this was the team of the season for that year. You can see Burton came into goal, Callum Burton, a player that's still with us now, Evans at right back, the Fire, Akuma, Cantrell, Pozzo, Lawrence Anderson. A lot of these players still squad players with us, not so much starters anymore, but still really, really good additions. Alabusu, of course, on the right-hand side still, Marquis Fletcher through the middle, and a man we've not really mentioned too much is George Penny, who left us to go to Sunderland, hasn't featured for them yet, has played a little bit of football, and actually plays for the MK Dons this year, so we may well see him in an upcoming game, you never know. George Penny was an absolute phenomenon for us. That 1 year we had with him in the Vanarama National got us promoted, was a key part of that season. 14 assists will always be that, really. 8 goals as well to his name, but a really important, pivotal figure. And of course, it'd be remiss to mention that Callum Gribben came in at that time as well, which at the time was a massive coup to get him into the team, just because of his technical ability. He suffered a little bit from not really being a part of the system for us in the last couple of years in League Two. He had a bit of an impact, quite a lot of goals, but not quite the creative impact that I was hoping he would have. And it's been a similar situation this year as well, really. But he's doing slightly more as a change of system has come about. And speaking of that, actually, we'll choose this point in the video very briefly to say that I've put both tactics, ignore the player selection for now, but I've put both tactics on the Steam Workshop. I'll leave a link to both in the description. Whether you want to use the Anchorman tactic or the creative tactic with either a trequartista or an attacking midfielder in behind, then you can do that. This role really is up to you. It depends who you've got to play the role, but yeah, in terms of instructions and everything, you can also change Dobra to a deep line playmaker on defend, or that role especially. It's really up to you, but it is about creating like attacking presence and being a force offensively, less so than being a force defensively. So yeah, just something to bear in mind, and links again in the description. They're on the Steam Workshop. They're very easy to access. So another promotion then, and that brought us to League 2, a division that I thought would be much as a step up. Ourselves and Carlisle did very, very well to get promoted. And you can see then from this last season that we had a second placed finish, very, very close to getting the title. Lincoln Grimsby just behind us. But yeah, really good points tally again, 81 points. Our first season, we lost the least amount of games. That's what's so impressive, I think, about the rise. It's just how well we've done when we've adapted to a new division. We've not been absolutely torn apart too often. There's been a few games, don't get me wrong, where we've really felt it, but in recent years, it's been too comfortable. And admittedly, we went up that year into League Two and we were a bit of a favourite to go up, but it wasn't a case of I'm expecting us to go up. It was like mid-table, secure that, then go for the playoffs, then get promoted. That's the logical and natural way to do it. But for whatever reason, these Boston boys just seem to have a little bit more about them. And of course, the squad had to evolve again. Let's briefly show you the team for that one. So last season, again, a lot of these names now are becoming quite consistent, quite familiar. Burton remains in goal. France, of course, at right back has joined us. Akuma, Thompson, and Seddon. Steve Seddon came in and was a really key part. Pozzo keeps his place. Kirby came in. He's been a fantastic addition. Robinson next to him. Ossie Robinson. I assume, of course, his loan. We didn't get him back. And to be honest, we had players that were slightly better than him, so we didn't necessarily need him as often, Ossie Robinson. But did have 2 really successful years with us. Alabuso on the right, of course. Kasinga Medea out on the right. The one that got away a little bit, I would really like to still have him in the side. And you never know, if we're looking for a squad player at the back end of this season, he might be the kind of guy that we go after if we've got a little bit of money to spend. But yeah, Newcastle just sold him to a club in the DR Congo. We'd have definitely got in for him after a really successful campaign with us, but it wasn't to be. And of course, Marquis Fletcher kept his place up there. A name that must be mentioned, though, is Biggie Mana, who came in and has been sensational. And this year is really having a good season in League One. A player that started with Salford, we signed him, and has been fantastic ever since. He's one of my favourite players to use this year, especially. You can see already 7.3 average rating. I think, actually, speaking of that, if you take a look at League One, he's got the highest average rating, if I just remove that, the highest average rating in the league so far this year. A player that was playing in the Vanarama National has risen up 2 divisions and is now the best player in this division. Gael Biggie is having a sensational time. 30 years of age as well, so he's going to start declining at some point, you assume, but has been absolutely fantastic. And now you're nearly up to date. That brings us then to our more current... And now you're nearly up to date. That brings us then to our current season, which we've seen Will Ferry join, Sean Raggett, Dobra, Callum McManaman, John Field Leary, Thompson Nelson, and Shinji Kagawa, of all people, to join us with the Boston boys. We're not going to see too much of Kagawa. He's here for his motivational and leadership qualities. It says 5 leadership. He's got experience. That's what. Ignore the stat, okay? Or the attribute. It doesn't matter. Shinji Kagawa's here to bring a lot of memories of his. He can talk stories he's got from Manchester United and Dortmund. You can't buy those. Well, you can on a free transfer. But you can see the rest of the boys as well have been sensational this year, and hopefully you've caught a couple of glimpses of it. This year is going... Now, the previous years, okay, I don't think the difference between the Vanarama North or the National is too big, and the same applies to the National and League 2, and then even League 2 and the bottom of League 1. I don't think there's too much difference between the top part of that and the bottom half of League 1. That said, I think that section, sort of the bottom half of League One, compared to the teams that are coming down from the Championship, there is a gulf in quality there. But our Boston boys don't care about that. But the highest goal difference in the league so far, pre-season, for the first time in a long time, we weren't predicted to be a top side at all. 15th was the prediction. And so far this year, we've got no players as well. It should be mentioned in the season preview. In the Dream 11, we've not got a single name to mention in there. But so far this season, our boys are doing phenomenally well. 3rd place. As things stand, it's very, very tight though. 3 teams on 45 points. You can see our December period. I'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow as well. But our December period has been exceptionally good as well. Defeats to QPR and Blackpool, but wins in the rest of them. Very, very impressive. And next episode, we get to play Norwich in the FA Cup 3rd round, away from home at Carrow Road as well. So that should be quite good for the old finances. Speaking of which, financially, you can see over the period that we've played, money came in, of course, when we got a little bit of an injection from that takeover. We then used quite a bit of that money, invested it in stadiums and facilities and things like that, and it's been quite level playing field like the whole way, really. We are losing money ever so slightly. You can see this year 322,000 and a balance of 932. This FA Cup run could be really important, especially just getting a good attendance figure against Norwich, which is more important than the result, you might say. But yeah, the Boston boys have come a long way since our Vanarama North days, where we struggled for 3 years, and it must be said, since that period, it's been an astronomical rise. I've never had a save like it. I've had saves quite similar to it. I've had some stream saves where I've progressed quite quickly, and Thames had a period of constant success, but it was always sort of playoffs and pushing ourselves over the line, whereas the Boston boys just perform at a level that I've not had before. And whether it's down to tactics or the mentality of the players or whatever, I don't even know what. I like some of this I can't really explain. It's easy to explain how good your tactic is when it's working, but a lot of it I've got to give the credit to the players that play the game rather than me managing them. Yeah, 3 successive promotions. We might even get ourselves another one in League One. It's almost becoming a custom, right? You want to see us get promoted. I want to see us get promoted and see if we can do it all the way to the Premier League. I think the Championship or yeah, whatever comes next might be a little bit tougher. But yeah, it's been great to see, and yeah, hopefully our reputation rises with that. That is the one thing that we don't really talk about, but it's becoming a major issue with the Boston Boys, is that our regional reputation of 1.5 star, that isn't good. That's not good. And the reason it's not particularly good, viewers, is if you look at the reputation screen for the English sides, you can see we've got, it's just quite funny, we're below the likes of We're behind National League side Port Vale in terms of reputation. We have the reputation of a Vanarama National League side in League One, and we're pushing for the playoffs. So the players that we can attract from this point onwards, it's becoming an issue. I thought it was already an issue, but the players are just playing above whatever expected. And yeah, it could be quite tough going from here on out. Yeah, in the football pyramid right now, there are quite a lot of sides that are higher than we are. It's going to be interesting, and hopefully something to look forward to. If Manchester City want to give us a few more loan players, that would be, or just a star of their reputation, that would be nice as well. Hopefully, though, it doesn't hold us back, and the finances put into the club don't hold us back either. Things are looking good and looking up for Boston, and hopefully you're going to continue with me on the journey. If you are, of course, do drop a like, and I'll see you tomorrow for episode 51. It's an FA Cup game against Norwich, so something quite exciting. And I'll see you for it soon. We love with care. If you want to spend your next time, goodbye. It's amazing I've not sneezed more during this episode because my nose is very blocked.